how can I see that? Just a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry. Duty cycle was the input, right? Duty cycle, which was the 8-bit long vector. And in that case, I was worried ki how can I give that 8-bit long vector through our board, because our board was having just four switches in either of the case, whether it is a push button switch or a this one sliding switch, whatever. Sir, how can I address that one? For that, Nishant sir has given me the solution ki just use the upper 4 bits. However, sir, that answer was not, matlab, I didn't get that
No, no.
particular thing,
See,
sir.
the thing is that obviously there is a limitation of the board, so we have only 4 switches. Okay, so the one solution is that you can use a 4 switches and of higher 4 switches, and the lower 4 switches treated as 0 actually. Okay,
Yes,
that's
sir.
one thing. So when you're not assigning the any pins to your particular uh, input signal of entity, okay, so that will be treated as 0.
Yes,
Hmm?
yes,
Then you can assign the 4 switches to the higher switch, higher nibble or lower nibble, depending upon how much resolution you want for the duty cycle. Okay, that's one thing. That way we can do it. Otherwise, that is the only reason that later on Nishant sir has changed the statement that you use only one switch for incrementing the duty cycle internally.
What was that, sir? I was getting it. The four switches
Yeah.
wala concept, I got it, sir. Yeah, higher nibbles I can use, and accordingly I can adjust. But one switch wala concept was not that much this one, sir.
Yeah. So
Comfortable.
you change the entity. Okay. You
Yes,
have to
sir.
change the entity that, and there you have to accept only one input. If
Okay.
that input is pressed, okay, if that switch is pressed, then try to increment the duty cycle by 1%.
Okay.
So the duty cycle which declared in the entity as a 8-bit, you declared in as a picture. Okay,
Got it,
and
sir. Got
whenever
it.
you duty cycle, the 7-bit is going to be 0, and you as a clock for critical incrementation. Very important thing is that
Yes, sir.
everything in a VHDL or FPGA is acting as a counter only. Okay, so we have to write a
Yes.
process with that switch as input, and that is ultimately acting as my clock. So whenever switch is pressed, you have to increment the duty cycle by +1. The way you are in. Okay.
Yeah, got it, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Anybody has any doubts related to this or any other point? How to assign it? No. Yeah. See, the another, see, yesterday what we are talk about that. See, when you are going to use only one output as a PWM, then it's going to be only one color, correct? So again, you have to change the entity. See, I'm giving the answer to the Ninad. Actually, he has asked that there are 3 ports for RGB LEDs. Okay, one for each color. So how to assign it? Right on output board for RGB LED, correct? So the thing is that there are red output is there, green and blue is there. So you have to generate the 3 output signals, 3 PWM signals for each and every color. And if there is a variation of that PWM, see every, suppose for example, again, you should not be like that. You are repeating the same PWM for each color. There should be variation of PWMs, 3 PWMs, which is going to be generated for the 3 colors. And that mixture will give you different colors. Okay. So is the your doubt is clear enough? Yeah. Any other?
Oh, sir, can you check this doubt on that board? My simulator is failing actually.
Simulator is failing. Okay, any reason
I
failed
used
to.
yesterday's code only, which you have shared, that PWM code.
Okay, no, but any error is giving?
No, it is giving failed to link the design when I click on simulate behavioral model.
Sridhar, you can see on the
Failed.
screen.
Okay.
That is the
Yeah, yeah,
screen.
yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm looking at that. Is your iSIM is working earlier for any other design?
No, I have installed it during the session only.
No, no, no. Any earlier design you are already simulated?
No, I haven't. I haven't tried.
Okay. So can you go up in the this error? You just go up there because it is showing only one error.
No,
But
nothing else
maybe
is there. That window is showing only that line. Nothing else is there.
Failed to link the design.
Yes.
sure.
No. Sure.
Thomas, you don't have the kit, right, with you?
No, I don't have.
Yeah, Sridhar, you don't have a
Okay.
kit actually. He's just
No,
simulating on the
that-
software.
Simulating, yeah, because for simulation the code is not required. What about the license? Have you generated the license?
Yeah, in the first session, you explained the procedure, right? I got
Correct.
it like
Yeah.
that only.
Can you share the screen? Your screen? Is it possible?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he can share his screen.
Hmm.
Thomas, you can share your screen. The option is available for everyone if anybody has the queries.
Share content, is it? Where should I click?
Yeah, share contents.
Share content.
Okay.
So share your screen.
Screen
Yeah, okay.
1.
Okay.
Guys, we are clearing the doubt. I request other participants to be patient and you just listen to these errors because you will get it regularly. These are the errors which are going to be there for everyone.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
So now you see the TB upper one.
Yeah, this one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Clock period 2. Yeah, just go up in this VHDL code of the TB. That
Actually, I haven't changed
is
anything. I have just pasted whatever code you have given me.
Okay. Yeah. So now just click on the simulate behavior model now. Click on the console button. Just waiting for submission. Just go up on this errors.
Okay.
Is there an error related to the license is given?
Check.
I think this is a license error, Sridhar, because it is showing some license error.
Where
Thomas, you have to check your license.
Where it is? Just I'm looking for that only.
Where is showing license error? Couldn't see that.
Just go on the top.
Determining the file mark for global design.
Guys, can someone from the participants, can you see the error? Anybody who can identify the error? Command line, fuse, install, ISO.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Is this unsigned arithmetic library is not included? Is this my error?
No. No, that will not generate any error. But you can add it. That's not a problem. because this is typical error of the ISIM. Sometimes the ISIM is failed. So you can, Thomas, you can just try it for reinstalling the ISC again. Okay. If the problem persists, then we'll try to solve on the WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So typically, sometimes the ISIM will not work on some certain PCs. So just try to reinstall it. Hmm?
Okay.
Yeah. So any other doubts? If not, then we'll start with the today's session.
Yeah, you can start. And I request all the participants to submit, because many of you not submitted. Submit the videos. I am repeating, we need videos. Yeah, Sridhar, start your session.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I'll start. Continue.
Thank you guys for your, like whoever submitted the videos. We sincerely thank all of you.
Okay, we'll start with the structural modeling today. So anybody has already worked with the structural modeling? I think two of participants already worked it. But if there has, what about the others? Okay. We'll go with the structural modeling. We can do it. We cannot design a very complex circuitry or system, okay, by writing the whole code for that, because it's very difficult for debugging to find out the errors in that. It's very better that you have to go for the lower level design first, low level components you design it first, and then try to use that low level components in your system, so that we can easily debug, we can have a control on the coding also, and individual components can be easily tested for working. For example, suppose if you are designing a 4-bit full adder, okay, now suppose I want to later on design the 32-bit full adder, we can easily design using this 4-bit full adder. There is no need to design the complete 32-bit adder again. Again, if you go for the 64-bit adder, then use 32-bit full adder for implementing the 64-bit full adder. So like that way, we can cascade these designs, and it's always recommended that you go for the a structural level or hierarchical level design. Okay, so at the structural level, which is the lowest level, you have to first manually design the circuit. For example, suppose I am going to design the shift register. Okay, obviously for implementing the shift register I need flip-flops, correct? So these flip-flops to be designed first, and then try to use these flip-flops in your shift register design. So in the VHDL, we have to specify the components that are needed by the circuit, and then also you have to specify that how they are going to be interlinked. For example, here in this case, I have shown an example of a full adder, okay, which is being implemented using the two half adders. Okay, and in the coding, I have mentioned that I am using a component, okay, that is a half adder component, and then by means of the port mapping, I have explained, or rather I have just given the how these are being connected, means how the sum goes, how the carry is being generated. So all this going to be mentioned in the code using the port map. Okay, so this port map will tell us that how I am going to use this component, what are the inputs for my component, and where my output is connected. So like that, to be methods are given here. So as I said, the component is very important in the case of a structural modeling. So this component should be declared first, and you have to declare in your entity again which component I am going to use. So the component, I can say that is like chip socket. It gives an indirect way to use one hierarchical block within that another. Okay, so like that we can use, for example, suppose in a digital practicals, maybe during your college levels, college life. So what we did, so if you are, suppose I want to implement a BCD adder, okay, so then we have taken out the a binary adder, then certain logic gates, and then using that simple ICs, you have implemented the old BCD adder, correct? So similarly, in the case of the structural modeling, we have to take that components together and you have to interconnect it. So basically, you are instantiating that component within an architecture, and then that is going to be associated with your entity and architecture. So that is very important. So you have to bound it. Okay, what component you are using, how you are using, and how you are interconnecting it. So that is called as a configuration of the component within that architecture. Okay, and to configure or to bound that component with your design, so the component declaration is important, and this component declaration is very similar in the form of entity. Okay, so the way you are declaring the entity, it is very simple. Okay, if you look at here, if you look at the syntax of the component, okay, it is very similar to the entity, only I have replaced the keyword entity with a component, nothing else. Okay, and when you are declaring the component in your design, remember that whatever the entity I use for your lower level design, the same name should be used, same port structure should be used. Okay, that's the way you can have a default bonding. If suppose if you are using some other names for the entity, some other names for port name, it is possible, but the binding is not a natural. Okay, so you have to write separate configuration code for binding that entity and the architecture. That's very important. So that's why it's always recommended maintain the same name, same port name, same structure. That's all. Okay, so we'll see that how we can do it and where we can declare the components. So these are the some places where we can declare the component, packages, architecture, block, and generate. As far as our course is concerned, so we are declaring the component in the architecture, okay, and we are using it. So as I said here, for the default configuration, the component name must match the name of the corresponding entity. So which entity you want to call, it is like similar to your functions. Okay, the function, the way your function declaring the function in the C. Okay, the function prototype and the function body, that say should be named same name, and the way you're calling the function in your code also should require the same name. The same concept is used in a component declaration also. So whenever you want to declare that component in your architecture which is to be used, so the name of that component should be matched with the entity. Okay, even the port name, mode, and everything should be matched. Okay, so this is the example how the counter can be used. Okay, then a concurrent statement used to define that design. One thing is that you have declared the component, now we have to use it, correct? So we have to call that component, that is called as component instantiation. So typical technical word in the VHDL is the component instantiation. Otherwise I can say that it's a component calling. Okay, so how to call it, that is by means of the port map. Okay, and you have to assign the actuals with your formers. So obviously the structural modeling we are already used in your test bench, because the test bench works on that structural modeling only. So there you called your design test as a component, and then you are instantiated that component using the port map. You can just check out your test bench. It is same. It is nothing but the best example of structural modeling. Okay, so we can map the generics. We can map the signals also. So when you want to map the signals, so there are two ways. Okay, either we can go for the named mapping, okay, or positional mapping. So the example here is given like counter, port map, clock, reset, enable, and queue. So this I have used the positional mapping. That means the position of the declaration of the port is important. Okay, if you look at the declaration of the component, so here the clock is first, then reset, then enable, and then queue. The same position, okay, is used while calling that counter. Okay, I'm just actually it's called as instantiation. It should not be I should not be called as a calling the function or component. When I'm instantiating the component, so I have just used the same sequence: clock, reset, enable, and queue. Okay. So that entity architecture or configuration must be compiled into library before the corresponding instance can be compiled. Okay. So however, an instance of an component can be compiled. So this again related with the compilation. So we are not bothering about the compilation. Rather, what is saying that the whichever the component we are going to use in your higher level design, that should be compiled first. That should be tested first. Then you can use it. Without compiling that component, we cannot use it. That's a thumb rule. Okay. So here the port mapping. So as I said, the port mapping can be also done with a named association. Here we have used a named association, formal with actual. Okay. So ठीक है port map, the two so as already mentioned, the two forms are there. One is name ports and positional ports. So we'll see that we can we'll take example of that. And hello, sorry for disturbance. Hello. Hello. Are you there with me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So this is about the structural modeling. So we'll take example of shift register, how we can implement using structural modeling. Then you can understand what I'm saying. Okay. So what is meant by component declaration and what is meant by port mapping and all these things. Okay. So you know about the shift register. So there's no need to tell about things here. So register capable of shift. So basically these are the different types of the shift registers. Okay. Serial in, serial out, either shift right or shift left. Okay. Then parallel in, serial out, serial in, parallel out, and you can also go for the rotate right and rotate left. Okay. So this is the way we can implement the shift register. So serial in, serial out, any configuration we can possible, or you can go for the universal shift register, which will going to be shift the which has the different modes like CISO, serial in, serial out, or parallel in, serial out, or serial in, parallel out. So all the possible combination also possible in the shift register, universal shift register. But now we'll take a very simple example of serial in, serial out. So if you go for the serial in, serial out shift registers, so we need, depending upon the how many which shift register you want, that many flip flops you want. For example, here I have taken an example of 4-bit shift register. Okay, so I'm going to have a serial in a first flip flop, and then after 4 clock pulses, the same data is available at the serial output. So this is the nature we can have. So this is a synchronous design because the clock for each flip flop is the same. So we are using a single clock source to all the flip flops. Then this is again another configuration of serial in parallel shift registers. Shift registers. Okay, so here what's happened, we are giving the serial in, okay, and at the same time we are taking the output. So this is again another configuration of serial in parallel out. And just observe that how these flip flops are connected to each other. So basically, if you look at the serial in, serial out and serial in parallel out, the connection is same, but the output we are taken as a 4-bit here, whereas in the case of serial in, serial out, only one output is taken. Okay, that's one thing. Then parallel in, serial out shift register. So here we are loading the parallel data, and at the same clock the serial data is taken out one by one. Okay, so that is one concept here. So at one clock pulse, the old data is loaded into the shift register, and in the next consecutive clock pulses, the 1 bit is going to be taken out. Okay, so as this is a 4-bit shift register, so after clock pulses, for each and every clock pulse, will get 1 bit, so that after 4 clock pulses, we can say that the old data is already taken out, which is already loaded during the first clock pulses. So like that, we can also design the parallel serial out using the DIP flop. Okay. Then this is again parallel in parallel out. So here we are doing nothing, rather the only thing is that the clock is common and the old data is taken out in one instant. Okay, that's one thing. So 4-bit universal shift register. So here all the 4 combinations are possible using in one combination. So we can also implement that way. So as example, you can take out that also. So the only thing is that here we have 2 mode pins, that is S0, S1. So to select the different modes of shift registers, then the clock is there, and for serial input and serial output there is a LSB in and MSB in. So through that we can also take out as a serial in, serial out. So when I'm going for the left in, so I have to use MSB in. When I'm going for the right in, I have to use LSB in. Okay, and whatever the data is available on a parallel data, and for loading the parallel data, I have to use the IPAR. So like that way, this is the architecture I had mentioned. So on a similar ground, we can design it using the VHDL code. So I'll explain it. Now I will try to implement the shift register using the DIP flop. Okay, so we'll directly jump to the code. Obviously, I am using the DIP flop first. Okay, so I'll explain with the code, that will be better instead of showing with a PPT. But I'll just very fastly I'm going with the PPT, and then we'll go for Xilinx ISC. Okay, so now here I've declared the entity which has input called as SIN and then SOUT as output. So here the DIP flop is used as a component, and then I have to use 4 DIP flops which are going to be instantiated. Now if you remember here, if you just observe here, the first SIN is given to the first DIP flop. So through this DIN associated with SIN, and then the output is taken from the last D flip-flop, that has a S out. And for internal connection, so we use this signal S for the internal connection, that is S2 logic vector 2 down to 0. So it is for the internal connection. Actually, we have to connect it. So this code is as per as your serial in, serial out. Okay, so we'll take that example today, and then you can try for some other examples which I had mentioned in the PPT. Anyway, I'm going to share the PPT with you. So looking at the diagram, so try to use the structural modeling and implement it. Okay, so we'll try to implement it. So I'll just open up the project. Is my screen visible?
Sir.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. So as I already mentioned, to implement the shift register using D flop, the D flop must be declared first. Okay. So here I have used a D flop. Okay. So a clock, reset, D in, D out is there, and then this is the process. Very simple process we have used here. Reset a clock and reset equal to 1, D out is 0, and when the clock event is there, so D in is nothing but D out. This is a simple D flip flop. Okay. Now I am to use D flip flop into my shift register. So this is the entity we have declared. Now I have not declared any component here. Okay. How to declare the component? The very simple technique is used here. The whichever the entity you want to use as a component, so go to there. Okay, go there and go on implementation. So view should be implementation. Then there is a design utilities. And there is an option called as a view HDL instantiation template. Okay, so once you click on this, so they will give you template. For declaring the component and how we can instantiate that component. So this component you just copy and paste it in your design. I'm just copying it and I'm just pasting in my design. Okay, so this is the way I declared. Sorry. So now my component declaration is done. There is no need to do anything else. What to do is select the component which you want to be used in your design and click on the view HDL instantiation template from the design utilities. So once you click on this, so this file where they already declared the component. Okay, now I want to instantiate it. So for instantiation I can use this. I just copy it and paste it. Now how many instantiation I want? I want 4 instantiations. Okay, so this way I can instantiate the 4 flip-flops. Either you can use the 4 lines or you can also use the single line for instantiation. That's a problem. But remember that the name the instantiation name should be different for each mapping. So that's why I'm going for a 0 here. It should be 1, it should be 2, it should be 3. Okay, so 4 flip-flops are instantiated. Now I have to assign the clock. Okay, so before assigning the clock, obviously I have to implement it. So the clock should be divided. The original clock, we already seen that it is of 12 megahertz. So that means I need to divide the clock, correct? So how to divide the clock? There are two ways. The very earlier method I have already used it. We can use the simple 20 bit or 23 bit counter, and we can use 23rd bit as your clock, as clock divide. That is also possible. Or simply what we can do is, suppose on the board I already mentioned that we are going to use a 12 megahertz clock, correct? So when I am going for the 12 megahertz clock, and from that 12 megahertz clock I want to generate okay, so now this is your 12 megahertz clock, and I want to generate a clock of 1 hertz. I want to generate a clock of 1 hertz. So this should be of how much time? This should be of 0.5 second. Okay, and this should be of on period should be of 0.5 second, and off period should be of 0.5 second. Then I can say that it's a 1 hertz clock. Is it okay? Are you agree with me? So when I'm generating a clock with 0.5 second on, 0.5 second off, that is nothing but my 1 hertz clock. Okay, done. Then how to generate this 1 hertz clock from the 12 megahertz? Anybody has any idea? I want to generate a 1 hertz clock from 12 megahertz clock. How to generate it? Yes, anybody? Any idea? Hello, I want to generate. Is the voice is clear now? Is my voice is clear? Okay, so I want to generate 1 hertz clock from 12 megahertz. How to generate? Using the same technique which you already used it. So what is a T for 12 megahertz? What is a T? What is a T? So this is my 12 megahertz clock. Yeah, clock division method we have to use it. What is a T for my 12 megahertz clock? So 1 upon 12 megahertz. That is my T. Okay, and to make 0.5 second, how many T I want? Okay, how many T I want? How many pulses? See, this is a T for 12 megahertz. Okay, Okay, this is a T for 12 megahertz. So what is a T for our case? Clock division by 24. Okay, this is also not exactly 1 hertz. Okay, I'll just calculate it. So suppose I want to go for T, so 12 megahertz. Yeah, so this much of my T, and suppose I want to go for 0.5 second. Okay, and suppose I want to divide it 0.5 second divided by that many, so I need to count 6 lakh pulses. Okay, I need to count 6 lakh pulses to generate 0.5 second on period, and to count 6 lakh pulses for 0.5 second on period. It's a very simple. 12 megahertz divided by 12 megahertz gives me 1 hertz. Okay, so that means a 6 lakh pulses, suppose I count, that will generate my 0.5 second, and 0.5 second for another 6 lakh pulses. So how to count it? So we'll just write it here, the code. So I'll just generate the signal here. I'll just copy it. We already written the code for this. Instead of writing, I'm just saving a time. Yeah. So I declared the two signals. One is a clock div. Okay, that is 23 down to 0. So already somebody has already given yeah. So this is 1 by 12. So already given a answer that 24th we have to use. So 24th 2 raised to 23 is nothing but exactly 1 hertz it will give. But you can go for the any hertz clock by means of this method. Okay, so here, sorry. So here I have declared 24 bit counter and clock as 1 hertz. Now reset clock, reset is 1, clock div is 0, clock 1 hertz 0, and whenever the clock tick event is there, so we are incrementing the clock div towards 1. Okay, incrementing the clock div plus 1, and when reaches to this value, okay, this is the hexadecimal value of 5B8D8900. so when it reaches to this value is nothing but, if you convert this into the decimal value, it's nothing but 6 lakh. Okay, or we can simply write, instead of this is nothing but 6 lakh, we can also write decimal value as 6 lakh. Either you can go for this one or that one. Okay, so this is the way we can increment the counter. Then whatever this value, when it reaches to this, we are making 0 it, otherwise I am just going for the not of clock hertz. So this is another way to generate the exact 1 hertz clock. Okay, this is another way to generate the exact 1 hertz clock, and this 1 hertz clock I can use in my shift register. Okay, so I will assign this 1 hertz clock for every clock in my component. Wherever my clock is there, I can assign it. Okay, I've assigned a clock. I am using the same reset. Okay, so I have to change the reset here also. I'm using the same reset everywhere, which is the original one. So I'll use that reset everywhere. I'm using single line so that it is visible to everyone what code I written. The reset is common for each and every flip-flop. The like okay, so reset is common now. That means the two formals we are assigned the actuals to the two formals. Yeah. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to assign the D in. So D in for the first flip-flop, D in should be your input D in. Your input D in, and D out will be internal one. Okay, so a D out should be internal one. So what is that? The D out is nothing but we have to declare one signal here. So I am declaring a signal. For internal storage, I am declaring the signal here. So I am using the temp as a signal. So again, it's std logic vector 3 down to 0. So I am using temp 0 as my D out. So it is not fitting here in the one line, so I'll just removing some spaces here so that you can easily visible the code. Yeah, okay. This temp output will be input for the next flip-flop. Okay. And output of this flip-flop is nothing but my temp 1 is nothing but temp 1. Okay. And this temp 1 is nothing but temp 2 output. Okay, and then last flip-flop will give me a final output, that is S out. So this temp 2 will be my input for this flip-flop, and a D out is nothing but your S out. Okay. So this is a way you can go for the structural modeling. Remember that if you want to simulate this code, the clock divider should not be of 2 raised to 24. It should be of divided by 2. Okay. So That's why what we did here, instead of, if suppose I want to simulate it, so I should not use a clock divider. If at all you want to use a clock divider, use divided by 2. So that's why I written a statement here. Better I'll write here as a, just avoid. Okay. Now I want to simulate this code. So I'll comment this as a hardware implementation and just simulate it. Then you can easily check the output. There are two ways to simulate it. Again, you have to write the test bench for this and simulate it. So the test bench is already explained yesterday. Now another important thing you can observe here. So when I use this diff flops, and if you observe the hierarchy here, the shift registers are the diff flops are come under the shift register. Okay, this is the way you can implement the shift register using structural modeling. Okay, so I want to simulate it. I can add a test bench here again. So I'm going to use shift register CISO. Yeah, there is some error we have got. So we'll try to. Yeah, so but we are not use the packages related to that +1. So I have to use and then find. Okay. Now again, if you go for check syntax. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So there is a mistake. I have not used a. Should be a scene. So in the test bench, you have to mention the clock. So already clock is mentioned, and nothing should be given. So only to give a reset, that S out is input, and the reset should be mentioned. So I have to mention the reset as 1 and 0 after 100 nanosecond. Okay, and you have to provide the in sometime 1, and after that 0, and I'll just go for simulation it now. Now when I click it, so it's going to be simulated. So when you want to add a clock divider, and at the time of the simulation, you just take care that clock divider should be only divided by 2, not more than that. Yeah. So now if you minimize the, so if you observe the output, so we have kept S in as 1, and then after a certain time S out become 1. Okay. And okay, I have not kept in my test bench. Should I kept S? Yeah. So now I should not wait for that. I just wait for 100 nanosecond again. Then and then it's going to work properly. So there is a mistake in my test bench. So again I'm changing it. Now again you simulate it. So as we are divided by 2, after how many clock pulses you are expecting that SN should be there at the output? My clock is divided by 2. So after how many clock pulses it should be observed? You should observe the output after 4 clock pulses or something else. Yeah. Anybody? If you want to verify your output, my clock is divided by 2 now. So it should be your output should be there after 8 clock pulses. Okay. Now I am generating this SIN. So reset is there here now, and the output generated after this. Now how many clock pulses are there? You can easily observe here. This is a reset. At the time of the reset, SIN 0, and here we will get SIN as 1. So this is replicated at the output after nearly 16 clock pulses. Okay, this is simply divided by 2. So that's the way we can easily get the output here. Okay, so this is the way we can get the output here as a shift register. So we can observe the S out. Okay, so we can observe the S out. So once it is buffered, then we can see that after every clock 8 clock pulses, actually because we are divided by 2, that's why it's 8 clock pulses. Otherwise originally it should be observe the output after 4 clock pulses. So this we can implement it on the board. Okay, and you can observe your output on the board. So this is your assignment. So you have to implement the shift register, the normal shift register. There is another way we can implement the shift register by means of the behavioral modeling. So that also I'll explain here. Yeah, so this is again I have declared same entity again. Yeah, any doubts regarding the structural modeling before proceeding for some further concept? Okay, so hope you understood the shift register using structural modeling. Anybody has any doubts? in the structural modeling and the clock divider explanation? Because some of the students have already got the queries related.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, can you explain that clock, 1 Hertz clock thing again?
Yeah.
Just briefly.
Basically, what's happened here? I've declared a signal, a 24-bit signal here, clock div. Okay, and if you increment the clock div, obviously it reaches to the certain value. Okay, it reaches to the certain value, and that value I've taken as, so if suppose if clock divider value is less than 6 lakh, okay, and I'm incrementing that clock, if it is above the 6 lakh, then I'm making that clock div 0 and I'm generating the another clock as clock 1 hertz. So this explanation like this, I'll just explain with this diagram, that will be better. So I want to generate a clock of 1 hertz. Suppose this is my 0.5 second, 0.5 second, okay, as a T on and T off. To get this 0.5 second, how many pulses I have to count? That I am counting here in this code. So this is my one pulse of 12 megahertz. So this, obviously this is about in nanosecond. So suppose I count around 6 lakh pulses. So these are nothing but 6 lakh pulses. So when I count this 6 lakh pulses, I'll get 0.5 second as a T on. So the same thing we are doing here. I'm just checking whether my count value is below 6 lakh. Okay, then it's going to be +1. Otherwise, I'm just generating this not of clock 1 hertz. This is another way to generate exact 1 hertz clock. You by using the same method, you can generate the 2 hertz clock, maybe 10 hertz clock, like that. That is also possible using this method. Okay. So that flashing of LEDs, and by stopwatch you can just check out whether it's generating the 1 second time delay or not. Yeah, hope I've answered your question. Any other questions are there? Okay. You behavior modeling also it's possible. So if you look at here, this is a simple way I have used. Actually, you can use for loop also, you can use concatenation also. This I have used for simple understanding. When I'm going to reset this temporary variable is nothing but internal diff. This instantiate the internal for when I'm reset the output temporary S out I have taken as here. So TS out is temp 3 and I am assigning the input value to the temp 0. Okay. So first of all, temp 3 will be taken out first. That is the MSB out first, and then the earlier bit, that temp 1 is assigned to temp 2 and temp 0 assigned to temp 1, and then SIN is assigned to your LSB. So this is simple. Right in which kind of the things, left in or right in? Which kind of this shift register is left in shift register, right in shift register. Yes?
Right in, sir.
Right in. What changes are to
Yasin assigned to temp 3.
so it's exactly reverse. Exactly reverse that you can assign S into the temp 3 and temp 3 value 2, temp 2 value should be temp 1 and reverse way we are. So you can take out the datasheet of 74194 and you just try the same similar code in a VHDL. So 74194 is the shift register which supports the 4 modes. So 00 is nothing but a parallel load, nothing but your left in, 10 is nothing but right in, like that, and 11 is nothing but no change. So maybe we can just refer the data sheet of the 194 and try to implement similar kind of that. Okay, so you have to practice it more. Even we can implement the ring counter using the shift registers, that is also possible. So what should be done in the ring counter?
Temp 3 is
Yeah.
temp 0.
Yeah, so exactly it's a rolling kind of that. So output, that last bit is again coming as input for the your shift register. So there's no external input is required for the ring counter, but at the time of the reset you have to load. So at least one shift register, one at least one D flip flop should output should be 1 at the time of the reset. That condition to be written in your code. Otherwise, it is not going to be ring counter. Okay, so this is the way we can do it. If the shift register is understood, then a PIFO concept little bit we will discuss now, and if suppose if it's not understood, then we can also discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so is anybody has heard about the FIFO, first in first out? Okay, before that, moving towards, is it clear shift register? Am I cleared the two doubts? One related to the structure modeling. In the beginning, some of people have asked about that. Okay, structural modeling. Who has asked that?
Sure, it's me,
Yeah.
Lokashri.
So yeah. So whether that doubt is cleared now, how to use
Sir,
structural modeling?
actually, it was not doubt, sir. It is a problem in software. I don't know what is that happening. Sir,
Okay.
can I share my screen
Yeah,
and
please.
show you what is
Yeah,
happening?
please, so that we can clarify that.
Sir, can you see the screen, sir?
No. Meanwhile, somebody has asked about the clock divider problem. Those who have got the that means that LED flashing is very fast or very slow. Is that doubt is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please try with this code now, and surely you should get the output. Yeah, Lokeshri. So can you share the screen? Your screen is not visible.
So if you just a second.
Hmm.
Sridhar, can you stop your screen so that she can share?
Yeah,
Yes, sure.
Lokesh,
yeah, I
you have
stopped
to
it.
go to share content and then share screen 1.
Sir, are you able to see my screen
Yes.
now?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, now it's done.
Sir, here I'm not able to add the component program to this program. If I add this add source, the whole application get closed, sir.
1 minute, 1 minute. No, you're closed your screen.
Just a second, sir. So is it visible now? Hello?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's loading. Now it's visible. So where is ISC? It's closed. Oh, this is your. Just show
Program,
me the
sir.
code first. Bit 4.
A 4-bit counter code, sir.
4-bit counter. Okay.
So
Now we
for
are
this,
using
I'm
clock divider. Clock out. Okay. Component. Port map is there. C clock. No, but you're not assigned the.
sir, is
No.
that
You.
is the problem, sir. I'm not able to add the clock division program to this. If I'm going to add the source, the whole application will close.
No. Do one thing. No. Ek minute. Don't do like that.
It will not work. It will not work. Close that.
This one, sir. Okay.
Close that. Go in start.
Okay. Sir.
No, it's again closing it.
No.
Should I close this project, sir?
No. You close that application first. And don't open again.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now go in the start window.
Start menu.
Yes. Go where that Xilinx is installed from this start window. No. Please go in start.
So you are asking the Xilinx window, right, sir, where I have installed?
No. Go in start this. What we say.
Okay, sir.
Window start.
Yeah. Now go down. Go down. Little more down. Yeah. So this Xilinx tool, Xilinx design tool. Okay. Click on that. Everybody, please see carefully. Please go down. Go down little more. Okay. So yeah. Please stop. You can see here. ISC design suite 32-bit command prompt and ISC design suite 64-bit command prompt. So open 32-bit command prompt. Type ISC here. Enter. So if you face any kind of problem like that, you follow this process only. Without that, it will not work. This is the some bug in ISC tool. Without that, it will not work. Sometime impact also will not work like that. So you have to follow this process. Instead of ISC, you have to type there impact and then press enter. Impact will open and it will perform correctly as expected. Also, if your simulation is not working, you can use same thing. You use ISC, open ISC using this process, or you can also use 64-bit. Now please open that project, whatever, and now see. You can. I hope you will able to add.
Yes, sir. I'm able to add. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
I think similarly in the beginning, some of I think who is that? That person has faced the simulation problem.
Yeah. So same here. Yeah. For that you have to use 64-bit window. Then that problem will not come.
Sir, are you telling like if simulation is failing, I should use 64-bit window?
Yes. No, if there is no any simulation or syntax error is there and still you are facing some problem, then you follow this process. If you are using 32-bit, go for 64-bit.
Okay.
First, make sure there is no syntax error in your code.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubt? Okay, very good. Haripriya is so fast. Perfect.
Okay. Somebody has asked the question that one doubt in simulation, if clock divided by 2, how it takes 16 plus. See, in our code, what we have used is the clock is less than at x value is 2, binary value 2. So it's not clock divided by 2 actually, it's a clock divided by 4. So 4, that's why it's a 16 pulses is there. So I'm not exactly divided by 2, it's not number 2, it's a binary value. I'll just show you that. Is it okay? Okay, I'll share the screen. Yeah, so here we have just, the screen is visible now? Okay, yeah. So here clock is less than 2. So clock is less than 2 means we are just going for whether the clock div value, if you look at here, I'm just checking the clock div value should be less than 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, like this is a binary value. If you look at here, this is a binary value 2. So that means every time I am taking that many pulses for changing my clock. So it is exactly not divided by 2, it's divided by 4 basically. 2 raised to 2. Is it okay? So any doubt in the shift register or a structural modeling itself? Okay, so now we have to see, you're lagging with the assignments. Once you have done with the counters, you go with the shift registers. You have to implement the different kinds of the shift registers with the same concept here. So I'm going to share the PPT later on. So using that PPT, you just try to implement it, the different kinds of the shift registers. Okay, and then you also have to implement the up down counter, because all of you have implemented only up counter. So try to implement it up down counter. Even the RGB LED is pending. So a lot of the assignments are there. So you have to complete it. During the first session, I think we already mentioned that you have to use, you have to implement the simple 2:1 mux or 4:1 mux using the data flow modeling. Simply logical equation, you can use it for implementing the muxes and even the full adder. So whatever the possible things with the board, you can implement it that. Okay, and if you have any problems, you can post it in the WhatsApp. So we are trying to solve your doubts in the WhatsApp. Okay, so Parmeshwar, I think we'll have a question answer session instead of starting in the new session, because already it's almost 9 now.
Sridhar and Nishan, there were few participants. They were asking I think some participants, they have not understood certain things. so which they were calling me and telling me, is there any participants who has not understood the concepts of VHDL programming basics?
Okay, huh? No. What exactly the doubt is? Means, is it related with the coding? Is it related with the understanding of VHDL?
They said they have not understood anything.
Very good.
They did not ask me any doubts. They told me that, sir, we have not understood anything.
Oh, that time only we should ask. If you are not getting anything, we should ask at the time of
What
that
about their
session.
See, there are a few participants. They are, they are very new to VHDL because they have been using Verilog, but they are very new to VHDL. That is why they are unable to follow the steps.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is there any participants who is there in that mindset
No,
that they are not getting any?
for it very even okay. No, first thing that they must know the fundamentals of the digital electronics. Okay, if they understood the digital electronics, then little bit they can understand what we are saying. Obviously, if they are new for the VHDL, so it is difficult for understanding them also. They have
So
to
if
go to
someone
the
learns
books.
Verilog, can they understand this?
Yes.
Why not?
Verilog
Yes.
Okay.
Just syntax are different. That's it.
Just a question to all the participants. I need all the 28. As of now, there are 28 participants.
Okay.
So how many of you are able to follow the steps from day 1 to till now? Just say yes or no on the chat. I need all the 28. Yes, 1. Fast, guys. Sir, I'm familiar with Verilog, but feeling difficult. The Havipriya, 1. Okay. Next. Yes, 4, 5, 6. Come fast, guys. We don't have time. 7, 8. Fast, because so that I can arrange for some classes for those things.
Okay.
Familiar with Verilog, 2nd. Okay. No,
So
3rd.
I think.
Okay. Mostly yes. Okay. No.
Rahul Kumar. Okay.
Okay. Come on, guys. Fast. Still another 10 more. 6 said no. Familiar with Verilog, so difficult. Okay. Familiar with Verilog. Okay. Next. Fast. Waiting. Yes, Neetu, yes. Okay. Fast. Waiting. Still 7 more. Neetu. 7 more, please. Avish, yes. Okay. Familiar with Verilog, facing difficulty to understand. Okay. Kavya, okay, fine, thank you. Familiar with Verilog, Bhargav, familiar with Verilog, little bit difficult. I think I have not received an answer from Veena. Veena, GC.
Yeah, I think she has given answer.
Yeah, Vibha. Yes, okay. See, there were few participants. I think there were 50% is there. Like 50% they have understood, 50% they have mostly understood, and some people they said no, and some people they are familiar with Verilog but facing difficulty in understanding the VHDL. So what can we do for this, Sridhar and Nishant? So what is your suggestion on this?
Yeah, so see guys, so I have 15 years of experience in this field, and by that experience I'm going to tell you. So initially in my first 5 years I worked on VHDL only. Till that time I never see or never get chance to work on Verilog at all. But suddenly somehow I need to work on Verilog. And what happened? There was no means I was not able to use that Verilog at all. And I faced so many difficulty in that. But see, this language is like that. If you whatever you learn first, it is easy. Whatever you learn second, it will be difficult. Difficult in the sense See, there is nothing like difficult and easy. First of all, whatever you have concept clear, those things are easy. So if you compare step by step, let's say in Verilog you have case statement, in VHDL you have case statement, which is same. Syntax are different. There for others you have to write something different. Here for others you have to write something different. You know what is the other statement in case, right? So similarly, in Verilog there is always block. In VHDL there is process block. You compare like that, then only you are going to understand. Without your support, you are not going to understand the concept of VHDL if you know Verilog. If you are working in VHDL and now you are going to learn the Verilog, for sure you will face same kind of problem. 100% you will face same kind of problem. So for that, through getting those kind of solution for that problem, you have to compare step by step. You please take that like how if is in Verilog, so there is no, then we have to write in Verilog, right? But in VHDL, after if you have to write, then you compare that statement by statement, then only you will get the point. Without that, it is very difficult to get that point. If you know Verilog, you are clear in that, for sure you will get all these things know in VHDL also. It is just a language, and for sure language is nothing but essay writing. If your concept is clear, what is AND gate, how the D flip-flop works, you any language is same thing for you, right? Just it is matter of your concept, nothing different than that. But I'm not saying no. If you have any doubts, questions, we'll repeat that for sure. But first make your concept clear, then we are going to explain. Understood?
You have to just take care of the syntax. Actually, the logic is again same. So see what we have seen today, or maybe in the counter, all these things, the logic is going to remain same. Okay, the whatever the clocks reset and everything. But as Nishanta said, so compare that. What about my how to write the process in a Verilog? Okay, or rather, if suppose always block is there, how to write always block in a VHDL? Like that way, you have to compare it, and you have just to go through it. I think Nishant, we will do one 10 minutes, 15 minutes session on the comparison part. Maybe next time we compare the two programs, one in a VHDL and one in a Verilog, and how they are similar. Is it like that way?
Sure.
So we can do like that.
And let me just tell you guys one the advantage and disadvantage of Verilog and VHDL. See, the major companies which works for securities like a DRDO Labs and defense and all those things, they work with VHDL. So am I correct, Nishant and Sridhar?
100%.
Yeah, correct.
Also,
yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Nishant.
So many companies are like defense and out of India. Those are working in VHDL. But why India peoples are working in Verilog and System Verilog? So because in India many peoples are working in verification only, not in design. So there are two different things, verification and design. Many people, almost 98% people are working in India in verification only. That's why they are forcing all to use Verilog and System Verilog. Those people who are working in design, they will never force you to choose this language or that language. Okay, so that's why it is just a concept of your understanding. Also, if you know Verilog and if you make some mistake in that, it is like an infinite circle. It will take too much time to find out that problem. But in VHDL, it is not the case. If you made some mistake or syntax mistakes, tool is there. Tool will give error on that particular line. But in case of VHDL, it is not there. You can assign 2-bit signal to 10-bit in Verilog, but in VHDL it is never possible. Did you understand my point? In VHDL, we cannot assign 10-bit signal to 2-bit or vice versa. If you have one signal, all width should be same, must be same. Without that, we cannot assign in VHDL. No, that is not like a structural language or sequential or any different kind of thing. It is our way to write, how we write that. VHDL is more specific to error. Whatever error you do, VHDL will pick that in a second. But in Verilog, you can assign single bit also to 10 bit. It will not catch that error in tool. If you have to find out that, it will take by experience you will get that for sure. But initially, you will be in very big trouble for problem finding. That is the main thing. For sure, if you are starting, it is always better to go with VHDL due to means for that only. Like you will find error easily. Due to that only we have to go with VHDL first, because with that our concept get clear. What to do, what not to do, how to use all these things, what is the logic behind that, everything concept will be clear. Then it will be very easy to go with the Verilog. Apart from that, system Verilog is more and more like C++. You can do like everything there, for loop and multiple for loop also synthesizable, and it will get more and more complex. I'm not saying don't use that. Definitely you have to use that. But yeah, these are the things you have to consider in mind first.
Okay. Guys, as I told you in the beginning, in the batch 1, we are going to do the VHDL program, and in the batch 2, we are going to do the Verilog programming. And batch 1 and batch 2 both will get access to both the concepts. We are doing both the concepts in batch 1 and batch 2, and we are giving the access to everyone, not to worry on those parts. I request participants to try and get to know the VHDL programming also, so that you will get more job opportunities. The opportunity, see, these programs we are doing to get you the more opportunities in the market. See, as Nishant was mentioning, about 90 to 95% people are using Verilog, and about 5 to 10 people are using VHDL. Those 10% is very high in the market. Like most of them are government jobs. In terms of defense, if somebody is interested in defense, or somebody is interested in military or any DRDO labs, people are using VHDL language there because it is more secured language than the Verilog. Yes. Okay, so that is why we are teaching you the concepts, both the concepts. We are not here to copy paste. We are here to train you the concepts. Please understand the concepts, not the programming. Understand the concept, how to write the program. Then only you will be able to succeed. If you mug up and copy paste it, then there is no use. Conducting these a 1 month internship or a 6 month internship is a waste of time. You have to understand the concept and write the programmings. I request participants, the code whatever has been provided, go through it and write your own programs. That will give you a more mileage. This is a request from our end. So, any other questions? So for the people who has not understood the VHDL, we will try to make one more session, basic session, that I will communicate it to you, with you guys. Any other questions? Any other questions? People can speak. Speak out. There is a time of about 5 minutes. Sridhar and Nishant, session is over?
Yes, for today.
Yeah. Guys, any questions? If anybody wants to speak anything? And many of you are not submitted. Please, I request everyone to submit their videos. And the batch 2 guys will get the kits very soon. We are expecting the kits to reach us within about 2 to 3 days. Once it comes, we'll be shipping the kits as soon as possible. You will be getting the kits very soon. In the hardly about another 2-3 days, we will get it. It will take about 5 to 6 days to reach you guys. And If any of your friends are interested to join, you can ask them to join the program for the batch 2. Yes, any questions? Waiting for the questions.
So the code is shared to you guys, the shift register with both the ways, behavioral and structural modeling. So you just try it on a board. If you any get a problem, so you just WhatsApp, we'll try to resolve it. And also implement the other kinds of the shift register also, that serial in, serial out, serial in, parallel out, like that. And also try for the universal shift register. Okay, we have already provided the ebooks to you, those who are facing the problem with the VHDL. So just they go with that ebook. If you find difficulty in any of the concept, you can just put your question in a WhatsApp. So we'll try to resolve using WhatsApp only, and maybe during the session we can also resolve some problems. Okay.
Yeah, guys, any more questions? So shall we end the session? Thank you, guys. Thanks for your patience. I request all of you to submit that assignment in the form of video or whatever it is. Sridhar sir, I have sent you a video of PWN.
Nishant, actually there is one problem with the Dipti ma'am. So she's saying that we can give that 8-bit data as input T2 cycle. But
yeah, so Dipti madam, for that you cannot give 8-bit data as input, right? So because we have 4 push button and we have 4 slide switches. Out of that, you whatever the LSBs 4-bit are there, you assign fixed value and
Hello.
yes.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Sir, I got the thing and it's absolutely running fine. But the code is running, but sir, somehow I'm not able to interpret that code on board. Sir, I've sent that video to Sridhar sir also, and we'll send it to you also, sir, how my code is running. So just if time permits and you people get some time, sorry to bother you, if you could revert back to that particular video, sir, how can I better interpret that? I'll be really grateful.
Yeah, please send that video. I'll look into that. Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Guys,
okay,
we are here
no
to
problem.
support you. Guys, we are here to support you. Please make use of our expertise, please. It is our sincere request. We are here to help you guys. Make use of the experts who has the knowledge on these technologies.
Yeah, also yesterday someone asked me how to interface FPGA with the STM32. May I know his name? Can that guy speak out? I don't know his name.
Yes, put a question in WhatsApp or you privately is asked.
Yeah, in WhatsApp. So Naman. Yeah, Naman is there.
I think he has already left.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Naman, you're there? Naman, yeah. Let's see. I think let him. You can put it in the chat box, Nishant. I think he will answer it.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your patience. Keep you posted on the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Thank you.